Welcome back to Fox Explainer. Today, I'll show you Against the Sun, a drama film from 2014 based on a true story. Watch out and take care. In 1942, the US Navy is ready to send torpedo bombers and fighter planes over the South Pacific to attack Japan in retaliation for what happened at Pearl Harbor. On January 16th, pilot and Chief Harold Dixon, bombardier Tony Pastula, and radio man Gene Aldrich are on a patrol mission when they get separated from the other planes and can't figure out where they are. Dixon thinks they should go back to their carrier, but Gene finds out that they have lost contact and are running out of fuel. Tony drops the bombs in the sea to get higher, but it doesn't help much. Since they still can't talk, Dixon decides to make an emergency landing before they run out of fuel and crash. The plane lands safely on the water, and Dixon comes out wearing his life jacket and dragging the life raft behind him, but his men aren't doing so well. They have trouble getting out of their seats and almost drown before they make it to safety. This means they don't have time to grab supplies before the plane sinks. Dixon and Gene also let go of their weapons, which makes it easier for them to float, but Tony can't. After a lot of work, they manage to blow up the raft, but it's on its side. By tying their life jackets together and throwing them over the raft, they make a handle that lets them pull and turn the raft over so they can finally get on it. Now, all they can do is wait until they are found. The next morning, Dixon and Gene talked briefly about what had happened the night before. In their conversation, each man gave hints that the other might have done something wrong. Since they aren't getting anywhere with this talk, they decide to keep an eye out in case a plane comes by. A plane does fly by a few hours later, but even when they take off their shirts and wave them around while shouting, it doesn't come close enough to see them. Dixon says that this was their only chance because the plane was on a box search and won't change course because that could put them in enemy territory, and the war is more important than 3 soldiers. The process says that they only get a quick look. Dixon decides that the raft is a ship of the US Navy and that he is the captain. Tony and Gene will have to do what he says so they can stay alive. They look in their pockets to see what they have, but it's not much, mostly tools and random things like wires, plus an empty water bag. Gene also has a knife, which Dixon tells him to put in his pocket so he doesn't cut the raft. Dixon also tells them to take off their shoes and throw them in the water to protect the raft and keep it from breaking down. But he doesn't throw his own, which makes Gene mad. The hours and days start to go by as the soldiers try their best not to go crazy from being alone. They talk about different things and sometimes even sing to pass the time. Tony cleans his gun over and over again, but he also tells Gene that he'll introduce him to his sister, who would be a great match for Gene. During the day, the sun is very hot, so they take off each layer of clothing and get blisters on their skin. The nights are cold, and when they sleep, they have nightmares about drowning or feeling guilty about what they might have done wrong to end up in this situation. But they don't all sleep at the same time. One of them is always awake, and the other 2 take turns staying awake to keep an eye out for a plane or an island. During one of these watches, Dixon decides to go to the bathroom in his shoe and drink his urine to try to at least a little bit quench his thirst. When they wake up one morning and feel a nice breeze moving the boat, Dixon does some math to get a rough idea of where they are going. There's a chance they'll reach some islands, but it'll be weeks before that happens, so Gene decides he wants to try fishing to avoid starving to death. With some wire and cord, they make a hook that they throw into the sea, but whatever bites is strong. Tony has to help Gene pull back, and when they finally recover the end of the line, the hook is gone, reminding them there are some dangerous creatures out there. But Gene doesn't give up. He just makes a new hook and throws it again, leaving it in the water as long as necessary. Eventually, though, the heat gets on his nerves, so he puts on the life jacket and jumps off the boat to freshen up. Tony wants to go after him, but Dixon says they should do it one at a time for safety. He also reminds them that there are sharks in the water, which scares Gene back onto the raft and stops Tony from jumping in next. As the days go by, the tension between the men grows, and Dixon's paranoia makes him keep asking his men what happened on the plane, as if he's trying to find someone to blame for their situation. Also, Tony is getting thirsty. He thinks he might be able to drink some seawater, but Dixon stops him before he does something stupid. Gene is talking about how many more shoes they might be able to fill with the yellow stuff when Dixon yells out in joy that he found a pencil in his pocket that he had missed before. Now he can draw a chart and keep an eye on the direction they are heading. If they want to reach the island, they need to keep the wind in their favor. Using one of the life jackets, some cord, and some wire, they make a sea anchor. This way they can avoid being blown the wrong way the wind shifts. The other problem continues to be their thirst. Jean teaches the other two how to pray and asks God for rain, but it isn't until later in the night that the weather changes. Laughing in happiness, the men collect as much rainwater as they can on their shirts and the water back. After a week of being adrift, Jean finally gets tired of failing at catching anything with his hook, so he takes out his knife, ignoring Dixon's protests and worries over the raft. After a few random stabs at the water, Jean is successful in a big way. He's managed to kill a shark, which they bring onto the raft and open to eating the little fish it recently consumed. They save the shark meat in their socks to be used as bait later. This little dinner of theirs thought has some serious consequences. Because they keep throwing the shark blood into the sea to keep the raft clean, other sharks have smelled it and are now following them around. So in one night, a sleepy Jean distractedly puts his hand in the water, it gets bitten. Luckily, he takes it out before he loses it and Dixon wraps it up with Tony's banana, but the damage is done. 2 weeks since the accident have passed, and while they haven't gotten another catch like the shark, they do get one more day of rain to refill their water bag. Hope is starting to be hard to keep, and Tony begins looking at his gun with some depressing thoughts in mind. Jean takes it from him just in time, because a bird lands on their raft and shoots it, causing the body to fall into the ocean. Dixon doesn't waste any time getting in there to get it back, but the bird's blood has also caught the attention of many. When the boys try to shoot it, the gun jams, so Dixon has to swim as fast as he can. He makes it back to the raft before getting caught, and now they have bird meat to eat, which Dixon thinks tastes like chicken. Tony throws the bullets into the ocean because he can't use the gun anymore. He feels sad that this could be seen as a sign of defeat. When Dixon wakes up on day 20, he finds that all 3 of them have been sleeping, so no one has been keeping watch. Jean doesn't think it's worth it because there hasn't been any wind for 2 days and the islands aren't getting any closer. He asks Dixon for his map, but he doesn't understand how he could have figured out where they were if their plane was lost and they didn't know where they started. He also thinks that Dixon is to blame for the plane getting lost because he flew them out of range in some way. Dixon says, after a lot of arguing and shouting, that he was expecting to see islands a few days ago. This means that their course is off. His memory finally kicks in, and he remembers that he fell asleep on the plane. Even though it was only a couple of minutes, they missed their turn. He says he's sorry for his mistake, even though he knows he can never make up for it. When everyone on the raft starts to feel sad, Jean picks up the chart and says that even though it's not perfect, it's their only chance to get back home. Tony makes a joke about making their own wind, which gives Dixon an idea. He takes Jean's knife and cuts the soles off of his shoes, which they then use to row. A month after what happened, it starts to rain again. But this isn't just a normal rainstorm. It's a full-blown storm with lightning. The waves are getting bigger and rougher, and they flip the raft over. The men fall into the water and lose the few tools they had, including their rowing shoes, but the raft is more important. They hold onto it to find each other, and with the help of the wind, they flip the raft back into place, climb on it, and huddle together to stay warm until the storm passes. In the morning, the rain has stopped, but the men are too tired to do anything but lie down. Since they no longer have any hope, their conversation turns sad. They talk about what to do with the body if one of them dies because it could be food. They also talk about the people at a home who think they are dead, which makes Dixon cry when Tony and Jen say they wouldn't have put him on trial for his mistake. Tony thinks they've come too far to give up now, so he talks his friends into rowing with their hands so they can at least try. This makes them so tired that Dixon's prediction comes true and they drink seawater. Tony falls asleep so deeply that they think he's dead for a moment. Jean suddenly sits up when he sees something green in the distance. It's an island. The men are so desperate that they don't care if it gets taken by the enemy. They start rowing with their hands until they reach the shore waves, which push them the last bit of the way onto the beach. The 3 of them land safely on the sand, and as soon as they see 2 shacks nearby, they shakily walk toward them. This landing takes place on February 20th, after they had been lost at sea for 34 days and had rowed their raft for more than 1,000 miles. Dixon gets the Navy Cross for getting his crew to safety after they are saved, but he never flies another combat mission again. Tony's injuries keep him from becoming a Navy officer, which is what he wanted to do. When he dies in 1986, his ashes are scattered at sea. Jean is a radio man during the war, and in 1946, he gets married to Tony's sister. That's all for now. I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe for more and hit the like button to help me out, and also leave a comment. if you want me to explain your favorite film. Until next time, take care.